Hi, confirmation students. I want to tell you a story about Martin Luther, not Martin Luther King Jr., but Martin Luther, who he was named after, who is the founder of the Lutheran Church, even though he never wanted a church named after him. But we did it anyway, right? So we're in the book, you're in today, the book of Galatians, which is a pivotal book for Martin Luther. And I want to tell you why. Luther grew up in a time when the Catholic Church was pretty much it. And he had a revelation that he should become a priest. He was in seminary, and he knew he wasn't good enough to be a priest. So he was doing his best to try and be good enough. He would wake up early in the morning, like 3 in the morning, and he'd be scrubbing the floors. He used to whip himself in the back to become a better person. He would only survive on a few hours at night of sleep. I mean, he was killing himself trying to be good enough to be a priest for God. And it just wasn't working. Well, one day, because somebody had told him he might want to try this, he started reading the Bible. And he read especially in Galatians. And in fact, he translated Galatians into a common German eventually. And he also wrote a very powerful commentary on the book of Galatians. But that's not part of this. And what he discovered was that salvation, his being saved, wasn't dependent on him at all. And he had the focus on in the wrong place. He had the focus on himself. And that's pretty common for us because Luther said that sin is the self turned in on itself. So it's the self turned in looking at myself. And salvation never happens when we look at ourselves. It only happens when we look at Jesus Christ. And that's what he realized. That was the big light bulb that came on for Luther, was that salvation wasn't based on himself, but it was totally based on Jesus. And that Jesus had already done all the work for salvation, that he didn't have to do that work. But it was a gift that was given to him, not something he had to earn to get. So it's like, your mom and dad give you, let's say it's your graduation from high school, and they give you a gift of a car. My parents didn't have the money to do that, but maybe yours do. Give you a gift of a car, and you go to them and you say, well, how can I earn this gift? Can I pay you back? And they say, well, no. It's a gift because we love you. That's salvation. It's a gift that God gives us simply because God loves us, not because of what we do. In fact, if it was based on what we do, then none of us would be saved. I say this quite often, that trying to save yourself is sort of like somebody going up to a dead horse and kicking it and say, get up and run the Kentucky Derby. It's just not possible. It's not going to happen. So what this does, the neat part about this is it takes it off ourselves, and the focus becomes on Jesus. Not me, but Jesus. And that's where the focus should be, because that's where the power of God is. And that nothing we do can save us. There isn't one thing you can do that will save you. There's just too much sin around you that anything you do will save you. So anytime you hear somebody say, well, I better be good or I won't get into heaven, that's just a lie. That's not going to matter. Because you couldn't do enough. One little bit of sin will keep you out of heaven. One little bit of sin. You need a rescuer. This is sort of like, so I used to be a lifeguard, and we had a boat off the shore that we could get in, and if somebody were swimming out in the lake and were in trouble, we could ride the boat out and pick them out of the water and save them. I never had to do that. But it's our salvation is sort of like that. We're out in the middle of the lake and we're going down for the 3rd time. And we need a rescuer. And that rescuer is Jesus. off to the side. I did have one rescue when I was a lifeguard in college. We were on a lake, and this little kid comes running into the water, and the lake kind of dropped off quickly. Comes running in the water, big smile on his face, and I'm standing on the dock. It was a U-shaped dock that went around, and I see this kid, and all of a sudden he's in further than he can stand, and he goes down. And he comes back up, gets a breath, and goes back down, and then comes back up and gets a breath, and goes back down. And I'm watching because I'm thinking to myself, if he can get there himself, that'll be good. But he isn't gonna. He's going down for the fourth time. So I jump in. I'm up to my waist. I grab the kid and I put him up on the shore where his parents came up and comforted him. That's the only rescue I ever had as a as a lifeguard. Anyway, but Jesus is our lifeguard, and we're going down for the third time, and he rescues us by what he does on the cross. And Galatians is all about us not doing anything and realizing that it's all about Christ and Christ alone. What was happening in the Galatian church was that Paul he preached the true gospel, and then people came along and said, well, yeah, I mean, Paul's right, but, and, whenever anybody says but, that means everything that said before doesn't matter, but you need to become circumcised, and you need to follow certain Jewish food laws, and you need to do this, and you need to do that, and they were adding all these rules on top of Christ saving us simply through faith. And Galatians is all about that. It's all about, hey, it's really about Christ alone, and nothing you can do, whether it's good or not, is going to rescue you or save you from your sin. Only Jesus Christ on the cross can do that. Have a great class. Take care.